What's up, ladies and gentlemen? How you doing out there? Welcome back to another episode of Peppy's Point of View. I'm your favorite host, your favorite R&B historian, your favorite music critic, Peppy. And boy, oh boy, are you in for a treat today because we're talking about two divas, all right? One R&B diva and one pop diva. But before we get into that, ladies and gentlemen, let me welcome back you returning viewers, you subscribers, and I want to say hello to you new viewers. I appreciate you guys' support, and let's jump right into it, shall we? We're talking about my favorite R&B diva of all divas, Angela Winbush, and we're talking about Mariah Carey. Ladies and gentlemen, I've been actually wanting to do this for quite some time, and I have not until now gotten around to doing it. Okay, there's a particular reason why I'm talking about these two divas in these two albums. Okay, and I've been sitting on this for quite some time, and I finally got around to let me just go ahead on and do it. I'm going to do it. I'm going to get it out the way. You know, I've been sitting back, kind of marinating on this, trying to see where I want to go with it, and I finally came to a place where I'm like, okay, I think I know what angle I want to go about doing this. Okay. So let's jump right into it. For those of you out there who can hear my voice and it definitely sounds different, it's because I'm a little congested over here. Yes, I just got over the flu, like I'm on now the recovery end of the flu. Yes, ladies and gentlemen. And so, like I said, a little congested. So please, like I said, bear with me, but it is what it is. Like I said, the bad part is it's over and done with. And I'm happy about that. So let's jump right into it. There's a particular reason why I chose these two divas. And there's a particular reason why I chose these two albums. I have these albums, by the way, these CDs, and you know, I enjoy listening to both of them. So what we'll talk about is going to be a probably, excuse me, controversial to some. It just might be, but I understand that it's art, it's entertainment, and like Erica Badu said, sometimes I'm sensitive about my ish, so I'm aware of that as well. That I'm definitely talking about real people. You understand what I'm saying? And so I try to make sure I do it with the utmost respect possible. That's number one. And but what I want to do is I want to talk about something that I've done in the past, which was the makings of an R&B diva or the makings of a pop diva. Let's just talk about the makings of a diva, period. And I want to point out some things to you guys. I'm going to hit some high points and then I'm going to come back around. I want you guys to sit back really and just kind of, just relax and chill because we're going to talk about some things and I am not going to try to rush this at all. Okay. Angela Winbush released the Real Thing album in 1989, probably what the third or fourth quarter of 1989, and then Mariah Carey releases her debut album. Uh, I'm not quite sure. Don't hold me to when this album came out. I'm going to say it probably came out maybe I don't know, the summer. I don't know. I don't know when these came out. I'm going to guess the summer. So if it came out the summer, first, second, third, fourth. So what would that be? That'll be what, second quarter, maybe? Third quarter? The summer? Summer would be third quarter, probably. So let's just say the third quarter of 1990. So it's safe to say that We talking about 1989, we're talking about 1990, which means that these two divas find themselves in the industry releasing these albums at a time when we, oh, how I'm going to say this. That these divas are pretty much doing the same thing. Yeah, I think that's safe to say it. They're doing the same thing. And I know this is hard for people to look at right now, like Angela Winbush, like some of you out there might say, well, who is she? Right? I mean, honestly. Some of you probably say, oh, well, who is she? And for those of you who are out there, probably say, oh, but what hits does she have? Like, you guys are out there, you know who you are. And that alone puts you in a particular group of people that, is the reason why things are the way they are, and things are probably not going to change anytime soon. Like for me, growing up, I have to admit that I was the one who was just interested in hearing a hit song. That's what I wanted to hear. I don't like it. Yeah, I like it. Okay, it would do. Oh man, that's it. That's my jam. That's the one. Like I am the one. I promise you that usually when I had started to get my own money, uh to buy my own records, I knew that I had to use my money wisely because that's all I was spending my money on once I got it. I discovered the record store and I was like, that's where I was. So I had to spend my money wisely on my albums. And because I was glued, well, because I was watching so much television, uh, I saw a pattern. And the pattern was, I was like, you know what? Yeah, I like that song, but what's going to end up happening is that artist is going to at least release two, maybe three songs off that album. And before I go and spend all my money on an album that I don't like, I'm just going to wait and see if I'm going to like the next single or the third single. And if I like the second single or the third single, then you know what? It's safe to say that I'm going to buy the album because I know at least there's going to be three songs on the album that I like or two songs on the album that I like. And chances are an album is going to pretty much have four good songs on it, and the rest of them is going to be, just fillers, or if I would call it just throwaways, trash. That's how I looked at it when I was a preteen. So that's how I did it. And so I had to learn how to, manage my money. So when I discovered singles, I was like, well, I'll buy the single. So I ended up having a nice collection of singles, you know, uh, and I had the albums as well. But here's the thing, I would barely, if ever, listen to an entire album. So if I had to really like you as an artist to listen to your entire album, because what I would do is I put the album in or the cassette in, I go straight to the song that I know and that I like. I listen to that one and play that over and over again until I decide that I wanted to listen to the whole album. And sometimes I wouldn't, right? That's just me. That's how I did it. So these two divas are doing the same things. So let's talk about some similar things for those of you who are out there, because I know how some of you are. And for those of you who are out there who are going to probably say to yourselves, like, this is not what this is. Like, he is definitely reaching this time. And uh, I don't know if, Angela would ever hear any of the videos that I've done on her, covered on her. I don't know if this ever would make it to Mariah Carey or her people. That's not necessarily my intentions, but I can say enough to know that even when it comes down to these singers, producers, and musicians, they all like to make sure that they are different from other artists, right? Okay. So what I'm asking at this moment in time is just bear with me as I do my rudimentary, take on what I am noticing as similarities to me. So they're not doing anything different in the time in which the albums are released. Both divas are writing, right? Mariah Carey wrote the majority of her album. She co-wrote it, the majority of the album. I think she might have some kind of production credit on this album of some type. Um, Angela Winbush is singer, songwriter, producer, arranger, composer, performer on her debut album. On her debut album, but on this second solo album, she's doing all of that. That's the first similarity. The second similarity, vocally, these two divas are doing the same things. For those out there who's talking about, oh, when she's this soprano and that one is that soprano and it's totally different and this, then the other. See, you went too far. You're doing too much. These ladies are doing the same things vocally. Angela Winbush has a yodel that is a signature yodel for her. And Mariah Carey has a yodel, a signature yodel for herself. And everybody loves her yodel. Everybody loves Angela Winbush's yodel. It is what it is, right? So far, so good. There's another similarity. When you think about the lyrical content of these albums, they are the same. The lyrical content, they're the same. Absolutely. You're gonna take it slow because I know this is it's going to take a lot for people to, you know, to digest, right? Because these are the ones who don't want to buy it. Do you understand where I'm going with it? Like, you're so caught up in Grammys, you caught up in number one singles, you caught up in the bells and whistles of it all. And now I'm trying to give you like this here, you're gonna have to come off your high horse. Yeah, that's it. You're gonna have to come out the clouds to get this one. You know. You're gonna have to come away from the marketing and promotion of this thing to see what I'm talking about. So the lyrical content is the same. Now let's talk about Angela Winbush's single, It's the Real Thing. Now, for those of you who don't know, It's the Real Thing, the track itself is taken from, I believe the single was released in 1980. I think it's by a guy by the name of Tom Brown. The track is called Fucking for Jamaica. And the song goes to number one on the R&B charts. I don't know if that track made it on the pop charts at all. I'm not sure. In 1980. Angela Winbush, excuse me, you guys. I'm actually getting over the flu. I'm on the end of the flu. You know, I done went through all of the other stuff, so now I'm congested. You know, I'm in recovery, if you will. I'm now just congested, so I'm sorry if I cough or if I sound congested. That's what it is. You know, had the flu. So anyway, um, so when she releases "It's the Real Thing," the Tom Brown track "Funkin' for Jamaica," if I recall correctly, when it was released, I guess you could say, you know, the first week it showed up, I don't know, the bottom of the um, R&B charts as far as the 100s. I don't know. Let's just say it showed up at, you know, I don't know, in the 90s or in the 80s, right? When it first came out, right? By the second week, that track was well on its way in, well established in the top 40 on the R&B charts, right? Like it was a hot ticket. I mean, it was definitely about to skyrocket to number one, okay? If I recall correctly, the track made it to number one in sales and number two in spins. I think that's how it went. I could be wrong. Uh, it didn't make it to number one in spins because I believe it was Luther Vandross's "Here and Now" that kept this track from or this song the kept "It's the Real Thing" from reaching number one in spin because of Luther Vandross's "Here and Now." But number one in sales, number two, you know, in spins. Didn't make it on the pop charts. Now, I say it should have made it to number one. I also say that this song should have been a big pop hit for Angela Winbush. It should have been. Now, it's my theory that if Mariah Carey had have came out with the same track, "It's the Real Thing," she probably would have made it to number one on the pop charts. If not number one, she would have definitely somehow or another made it to the pop charts. That's just my opinion. We're going to talk about that. So let's move on from that for right now. Angela Winbush next single, "No More Tears." It was released. The record company, for whatever reason, decides that they want to have a radio version of this song, meaning when I say a radio edit or what have you, I'm talking about they wanted to change it, the production of it. So it looks as if they tried to cross that track over because of the way they it was remixed. And it still didn't show up on the pop charts. Now keep in mind, remember what I told you about Mariah Carey and Angela Winbush are doing the same thing. Like the same thing. So if you listen to Mariah Carey's single, "Someday," and if you listen to Angela Winbush's track, "No More Tears," Angela Winbush and Mariah Carey doing the same thing. There is nothing, and this is not a diss to neither one of them. Like I said, they're recording music of the time. There's nothing remarkable about these two songs. They're just upbeat songs. Okay, hey, here's an upbeat tempo song, you know, kind of like a dance track song. It's an upbeat tempo song. You know, there's nothing really impressive, you know, remarkable, you know, exciting about it. It's just a good up tempo song. It's like, okay, yeah, I like that. That's what it is. When you see what these two divas are doing, You can give No More Tears to Mariah Carey and Someday to Angela Winbush. It's the same thing. Same thing. But Mariah Carey's Someday is a huge crossover hit. But Angela Winbush's No More Tears makes it into what I think the R&B top 20. It goes maybe number 12 or so on the R&B charts, but it does not have a pop showing at all. Are you picking up what I'm putting down? I need you to think about this because you never know where I'm going over here. But I need you to think about these things. But just bear with me. This is going to be a minute. So now, as we're going to wrap up this thing with Angela real quick, so I can go and talk about Mariah Carey. This is what I want you to get out of this Angela Winbush deal right now. I want you to think about this for a second. Because I know some of you are out there are probably still stuck on, oh, well, Angela Winbush, she's urban. You know, she's urban. She's too soulful. She has this kind of sound. That's what you guys do out there. So I'll let you have it. And other people are, no, Mariah Carey, she had more of a pop feel, and it's more relatable this and this than the other. Okay, yeah. But at best, right now, I would say that the two tracks that Angela Winbush releases from the Real Thing album should have been pop hits. That's where I'm going. That's exactly where I'm going. Stay right there. Because I'm probably not going where you think I'm going. But now let's get on Mariah Carey. Whew. So Mariah Carey comes out, and I need to look up the date, but I want to say, oh wow, there it is. So I was pretty much okay. It said it was released in June. So the album was released in June 1990. Mariah Carey's album. So where was Vision of Love released then? Okay, still safe to say the summer. The summer of 1990, May 1990, Mariah Carey releases Vision of Love. Huge hit for the Diva, right? Huge hit. All right. I can only talk about what was going through my head at the time Mariah Carey came out with this single. Are y'all ready? All right. So when Mariah Carey comes out in 1990, the summer of 1990, with Vision of Love, the song is played. I see the video on, of course, BET. It's played. I hear the song, Vision of Love. I'm like, oh, okay. I like this. It's a nice song. Then we get to the end of the song where she, is about to sing her butt off just for a split second. And when we hear it, we go, man, now you can say what you want to say, right or wrong. It is what it is, but let me just flat out tell you what it was. Y'all ready? Man, this white girl can sing. Let's just call it for what it is. That's what we did. We urban people. Man, this white girl can sing. And if you're not careful, Soulful, now that I think about it, not only does she sound great, but she sounds like a what? There you go. A sister. We now, I'm talking about urban individuals, have a tendency to disregard our own and embrace no distant Mariah Carey, an imitation. Yeah, I like Angela, but that Mariah Carey knows she can sing. Like that girl can sing just like a sister. Because when we first heard it, that's what we was thinking. Everybody on our end. And we embraced that. Now, mind you, we were thinking the same thing when it came to Angela in 1987 when she released the song Angel, because when we heard Angela yodel, in 1987, we was like, what the what? What? She just do what we think she just did. Yes, she did that. Oh, okay. Okay. It's what it is. She Angela did it. And for Angela's second album, first single, she kind of teased us with it this time with It's the Real Thing. You know, she kind of gave us her own take on a mini Ripperton type, you know, style of yodeling, right? That Mariah Carey would eventually start to what? Embrace herself. Do you see where I'm going? See, we want to spend so much time talking about how they are so not the same till they're so much the same. It's almost like, what? Now that you think about it, yeah, I know, I know you don't want, I know. It's all right. Just receive it, receive it. I want you to receive it. I'm not saying anybody bit off anyone. That's not what I'm saying. I'm going somewhere. Just keep following with me. You're doing good. You're doing good. So now, all we need to do with Mariah Carey is because we know this sister can sing. We just need her to continue to do what? To produce. What I mean by produce, keep put. We hope she gonna be able to do this again. Is pretty much what I'm saying. Yeah, she need to be able to do this again for us, right? And I'm not quite sure the order of her songs, but it says here the second single was "Love Takes Time," right? Now, keeping in mind that we have two things happening here, just thinking out of the top of my head. Some people say it's kind of hard to, they don't like to break, and this was during this time that they didn't like to break a slow songs because it was kind of hard to break. A slow song. So they try to, break a new song, let that be the first song. But for whatever reason, even with, Angela, Angel, for whatever reason, who knows why? It could have been that for her, it was similar to maybe You Don't Have to Cry or Your Smile. So it's like, well, Your Smile, okay, You Don't Have to Cry, Angel might be, a good first release from her debut album. For whatever reason why they chose Vision of Love, it just worked for them. And the next single for Mariah Carey is Love Takes Time, right? But then you get to, as I said again, the song Someday. Then I Don't Want to Cry. And then there's another song here that I've never heard, There's Got to Be a Way. So for the most part, Mariah Carey is definitely that girl. Now, that that singer. She's definitely has established herself, and she has worked with, I can never, somebody please tell me how to pronounce that man's name, but she's worked with Walter, Rhett, Rick, and Nardo, Michael Walden, for her, debut album. I'm going somewhere. For the most part, Angela worked with herself. Are you picking up what I'm putting down? So by the time Mariah Carey's album has, let's just say, done what it was going to do, and let's just say it reaches 15 millions in copies sold. I'm not quite sure, and this is me saying respectfully, I don't know the sales numbers for Angela Winbush's The Real Thing album. I'm not quite sure if the album went gold. I'm not quite sure what those numbers were for this particular album. It could have gotten up to gold. It could have. So are you seeing what I am saying right now? Because we about to make a turn. Like I said, I got to do y'all slow over here. You got to take this one slow. I don't want to lose you. But do you see what I'm talking about right now? So we're going to recap and then we're going to turn a little bit. So you have two divas doing the same things at the same time. One is urban, one is pop. I'm here to tell you guys that I'm not dissing Mariah Carey at all. But when I think about this album, the Mariah Carey album, I'm just saying, this album is not remarkable at all. I'm not impressed by the album. I'm not. But that's not saying I'm not impressed or that I dislike it. It's just that it's I'm trying to show you something. That's nothing about Mariah Carey that stands out from what Angela is doing. But we're about to turn. So these two divas are songwriters. These two divas, let's just say, Angela probably has more production skills than Mariah, right? Vocally, these ladies are doing the same things. The lyrical content of these albums are the same. So now let's talk about the obvious that we don't want to talk. We've kind of sugarcoated. And let's just say what it is. One artist is black, the other artist is white. which would be easier for one artist to go into these pop stations and get her music played, while it would be difficult for this uh, uh, black artist to go into these pop stations and get her music played. Let's not go there because it's what it is. Even Whitney Houston said it. We done already went through this before. Let's not go down that road before. And I know a lot of people say, "Oh, you're gonna pull that card again." It's just what it is. Like, let's just call a thing, as Iyanla Vanzant would say. Call a thing a thing. That's the difficult part about it already. Already it's working against her simply because she's a black skinned, brown skinned, beige skinned diva. And you rather call it anything but just good music. Because again, there's nothing spectacular going on over here with Mariah Carey's album. Nothing. There's nothing spectacular with this album. 15 million copies sold worldwide. At best, if Angela was to have continued to release the album, I mean the singles from this album that she has, Lay Your Troubles Down, and Please Bring Your Love Back, then let's just say for sure she would have had at least 2 pop hits off that album. Now let's take a turn. Let's go back to Angela. Angela has found herself in a, hmm, let's just call it, okay, let me say it this way. Let me build up to it. Do you guys remember when I was talking about Tina Turner, and I was saying that, Tina Turner, she did not want to talk about her life with Ike. She did not want to talk about it because, first of all, she just didn't want to talk about it. And then once she started to talk about it, that was the topic. It was always about Ike. It was always about Ike. Everything that came up, it was always Ike, 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 right? There's another diva, Jennifer Holliday. Every time you see her in an interview, if it's a movie, television show, an album release or whatever, it was always about the weight. Here recently, with the passing of Angie Stone. Angie Stone, she there she is. She finds herself every time she's in an interview or what have you, releasing the album, is always talking about, D'Angelo, and how that breakup left her devastated. Kelly Price, it was always about her weight. Always. And so what we find here with Angela is that she's finding herself where she started out in the business with the goal in mind that she wanted to be not just a singer, but a songwriter and a producer. Not just a singer, she wanted to be a singer, songwriter, and producer. She wanted to do those things. Got to keep it right there. So when she finally gets the opportunity, that's where she kind of finds herself having to prove herself that she is not just a singer, but a songwriter and a producer. Follow me. Listen to me one more time. I don't want to lose you. She is a singer and she does that well. However, she has set her goal to be a songwriter and a producer. And because of that, she's finding that she's having to prove herself in that category. So it's not at this moment in time where she is interested in a career of being just another pretty face, another pretty diva, another pretty voice, and let the boys or the guys take care of all of the things and let me just go out here and be my cute self. Do you see what I'm saying? And in doing that, what Angela finds herself doing, and she probably don't realize it, or what's happening is that her desire probably to want to be a songwriter and a producer has caused her singing career to take a back seat. Yeah, I know. You're like, huh? Just bear with me. Doctor said we're gonna go slow. We're gonna go slow with this one. Because here you have her now. She is a female, strike one. She's a black female, strike two. She is a songwriter, strike three. She's a producer, strike four. She is a musician, strike five. Like all of these are not positive things when it comes to the industry. Every category that she's in, she is finding herself in a place where she is pushing the boys out. It's like, this is I am not a part of the boys club. I can do it. Now hold that right there with Angela. Let's go over here to Mariah. Mariah is new. She is trying to break ground in this business thing, right? She is trying to be focused. She done finally caught a break, and she got a deal. First time out, 9 million albums sold. What, in the U.S., worldwide, 15 million copies sold the first time out. Good for you, Mariah. Really, good for you, Mariah. Tommy Mottola, is he her manager? I mean, seriously, was he her manager, or was he just her love interest at the time, or did he manage? Did he manage her career? I'm not quite sure, but of course, Mottola, is the one who's responsible for, her career. So we're gonna say, he, Let's just say it is what it is. So he's working with her. Now we're talking about an executive of this record company who has this young, bright-eyed, bushy tail uh, uh, person, female diva in front of her. Okay. And word on the street is that according to most reports, she was barely what, maybe 18 at the time when she started writing. I mean, started working on this album, what have you. But anyway, so he has her. Let me say allegedly, because I'm not quite sure if that was, correct or not. So I just say allegedly. She was not very old at all. But anyway, so she is definitely a diva in the making, and the machine is being turned on. The machine is being turned on. It's like, all right, well, let's see what we got going on here. Now, is the machine being turned on for Angela? This is what I'm going to say, and I'm going to say it respectfully. I say respectfully on the outside looking in with what I have noticed about, just my following Angela's career. She would have to definitely, differ with me on this one, but I will say it does look like Polygram Records definitely were trying their best to market Angela and make her a crossover diva. I do. When you listen to tracks like "C'est Toi," it's you. You look at the video. The track "Run to Me." When you look at the video and them, remixing the singles and all of that stuff, they tried for whatever reason. It looked like it just did not happen. And even the same thing with the song "No More Tears." It looks like they was like, okay, let's try it and see, let's remix it and see what happens. And it didn't. It's just one of those things that just didn't happen. And let's just say I'll leave it at that. So then what happens? This is my opinion about this. My opinion is that by the time Mariah Carey gets to her second album, and that second album came very quick, right? It came very quick. So quick to the point that even Mariah Carey found herself sharing some of the producer credits, right, for the second album. Like she wrote all of the songs, supposedly, let's just say, on the album, right? She has production credit now on the album. Do you see where I'm going? Talking about the second album now. She did on the second album what I'm saying Angela Winbush did on her second album. The song, my favorite song by Mariah Carey is Make It Happen. She sampled an urban track. Alicia Myers, an R&B diva. The song I Want to Thank You. She sampled that track. Excuse me, for Make It Happen. Do we need to talk about that single? Because that single did what? Okay. Okay. How many countries, billboards? How many? What? Yeah. Uh-huh. So again, so for you guys to come to me and tell me that If Mariah Carey had a sampled "Funkin' for Jamaica" at that time, then oh no, she probably would have made it over to the pop hits. So what's the difference? "Funkin' for Jamaica" by Tom Brown or Alicia Myers, "I Wanna Thank You." She went back and redid what Angela Winbush did on her second album, for the most part. She sampled an R&B diva. She sampled an urban track. Oh gosh, this is so obvious that I don't even want to talk about it anymore. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm like I done proved my point. So what happened? This is what I think happened. It- this is what I think happened. Okay. What I think happened was, and like I said, if I could ask Angela any question at this moment in time, if I could ask her, I would just ask her this. When it comes to the industry, do she consider herself a singer? That's a weird question, right? Huh? Do you consider yourself a singer? That's what I would ask Angela. I would ask her this question. I would say, Angela, I'm asking you this question respectfully because I'm asking because it seems like every time you come out with a product, song, I don't know, let's say a movie, a play, whatever she's doing, it's always about being a female in the industry. Like that's her storyline. You remember I said Ike, Tina Turner is always about Ike. Jennifer is about the weight. Kelly is about the weight. You know, like everybody has their own theme that is always brought up. And I think with Angela, the theme of her career has been producer, songwriter, songwriter and producer, one of the few female producer songwriters. And since she got that kind of uh, publicity, um, or that was the theme or the subject matter of her career, does she feel like she's a singer? Because if we were thinking about Angela Winbush, the singer, I think we'll probably look at her in a different light. Her career trajectory would have been in a different mm, level. So by the time Angela comes out with this album, The Real Thing, what I am aware of is that, well, she has signed a very lucrative publishing deal. Um, and I'm not quite sure if it was with MCA Records or not, but I do know that she had signed a production deal with MCA Records and Atlantic Records. Like this was a production deal. She purchased her own studio. I believe, reports were said this studio was once owned by Marvin Gaye, so she's moving like that. Okay. She's working with these artists in the business, during this time she released this album. She had 2 songs competing for the number 1 spot on the R&B charts. The Isley Brothers, Spend the Night, and Stephanie Mills, Something in the Way You Make Me Feel. Quickly followed that up with her song, It's the Real Thing. And then she kept showing up throughout the 90s. If it was not on her album, it was the Isley Brothers album. It was Stephanie Mills's album. It was Layla Hathaway's album. It was a group by the name of Body's album. So by the time she was in and out, of the charts throughout that year, I mean, she had songs and albums all over the place. And so what was happening was she was focusing on being a producer and a songwriter, and probably not being considered a singer. It's weird, isn't it? Because it's like, huh? Like you came up with that? Like that doesn't sound remarkable or spectacular on your part either. But we're talking about careers. Because we understand that even though Mariah Carey is being billed, we understand she's been billed as a diva. You know what I'm saying? Like a singer. She's a diva. And no one is talking about Mariah Carey, the producer. They might talk about her as a songwriter, but no one is talking about her as a producer. I mean, I haven't listened to a lot of Mariah Carey's interviews, but I know no one is talking about her like that. Not to my knowledge. But it's quickly coming up. Her name is now showing up as producer. Do you see where I'm going? And I think this is where we kind of now get the flaw in this career trajectory. I would like to think, this is just my opinion, when it comes to Angela Winbush in her first solo album, Sharp, this is just my opinion. Even after she worked with the Isley Brothers on the Smooth Sailing album, and even after she worked with herself on her debut album, Sharp, she proved that she could do it. For me personally, this is just me, my mind frame would go, you proved it, you could do it, you did it, you made liars out of the naysayers. We have nothing to prove anymore. Enough people now probably are aware that you have the goods. You should have enough clout, if you will, to bring in some more players. I'm surprised. I'm very surprised that, and this is just me now talking, that Angela didn't find herself working with other producers in the business. And I have a feeling that if she had a shared some of that production with other producers, I'm just throwing random names out there like, okay, let me call in Babyface, let me call in, Teddy Riley. I got clapped in this thing. I know I can do it. They know I can do it. Let me and this here is not about I don't know, I guess I was about to say this is not about hit records, but then again, this is about hit records. But this is also about now I can easily write and produce for anyone. But the focus could have been put on what my singing career looks like now. See, it's easy to do with a, let me just put it this way, like with a Ron Isley. Well, he's a singer. So in his eyes, Angela is a producer. Like, I'm good. Like, I can work with you. You're a producer. I can work with you. But at the end of the day, I'm like, well, I know you want to produce yourself and prove that you can do it and you are proving that you can. But if you really want to expand this as far as a singer is concerned, and this is where it gets start to get interesting, maybe I don't need to do it that way. Maybe I need to kind of pull back a little bit and share some of this production. And I don't want to say it this way, but kind of dumb myself down, right? To the point where people are not going to be so threatened by me being a black female producing my records by myself. That's just my opinion. Don't get upset with me. It's my opinion. Why do I say it like that? I say it like that simply because when you think about Missy Elliott, and everybody's talking about Missy Elliott, the producer, but when you look at Missy Elliott's albums, Missy Elliott shares what? The production. She does. She shares it, which is the reason why I think it was easier for her to kind of cross over. That's just my opinion. It's just my opinion. Like it just doesn't have to be set in stone now. Do you see where I'm going? And that's the same thing that Mariah Carey found herself doing. I'm talking about from a production standpoint to make the career as a singer. We're talking about a singer now. We're talking about album sales. But here we have another issue that I think that we're not considering when it comes to these two divas. And that is, unfortunately for Angela, Angela found herself being involved or allowing someone who is an artist in the business be her manager. People have said this for, over and over and over again. You can, I don't know how true it is or not, but sometimes it's difficult for an artist to manage an artist. Sometimes it's just difficult because I think one of the biggest concerns would be, well, if you are an artist managing another artist, chances are you don't want that artist to be bigger than you. You know, it's the same thing that we have with, is it Chloe? I say her name wrong all the time. Or Haley Bailey. Is that not Chloe Bailey? Those girls over there with Beyonce. And it was like, why is it that she, Beyonce is this and Beyonce is all this, that, and the other? Yeah, but Beyonce is an artist too. So sometimes you have to think about that as well. And Mariah Carey has Tommy Mottola, the executive in her, invested in her career, and that's a whole nother story. But then you have an artist who, let's just say, has shown interest in your career, but he is just an artist. He's not like an executive at this record company. He is an artist. Do you see where I'm going? So by the time this album for Angela has, pretty much kind of, died down, it's off the charts. What's happening with Angela, for the most part, is that she has found herself, honestly, she's found herself in a producer seat. Intentionally or unintentionally, she finds herself. And let's just say she's comfortable there. I mean, she's producing. And I think every effort is put and focused on her being a producer and not an artist. I know it sounds kind of weird, but we're talking about it on the outside looking in. Where everything with Mariah Carey is focused on her being what? A diva. Yeah, I know. And everything is not a bed of roses for Mariah Carey. She's pretty much talked about it, in all of the things that she went through, so much from day one. I think one thing in particular that Mariah Carey talked about that I always find interesting is that, from the very beginning, she was taught, you know, she, made mention that, the people around her was pretty much making her feel unattractive. Like, oh my gosh, you're too close to the, don't get too close. You had to make sure everything was pretty much, focused and adjusted to the point where, you wanted to let her be seen as attractive because some people were saying that she was unattractive on her camp. I mean, she said it. I mean, so it's not like Mariah Carey didn't have her own struggles. I'm focusing on the music, but all of these things, what you have to consider. Another thing too, as I'm wrapping this up, that always, I find interesting about when it comes to Angela Winbush in her production, uh, uh, um, I guess you can call it credits, is that whenever her name was mentioned anywhere around the Isley brothers, it was always, oh yeah, and he worked with his, wife Angela Winbush, who co-wrote blah blah blah, and kept moving. That's how it was always written up when it came to the Isley brothers. But now, if you read other album reports that Angela, like say for instance, if you read other album reviews like Sheena Easton's, Layla Hathaway's, Stephanie Mills, so on and so forth, pretty much she got a decent review. And when I said decent review, I'm talking about mentioning whether if they liked the work or not. It was a decent coverage of it. However, when Angela's name came up around the big wigs, let's say Notorious B.I.G., it was always, oh yeah, and Angela Winbush. Jay-Z, Angela Winbush. It was just kind of mentioned like an afterthought. You know, I'm like, I could do a little bit better than that. Even I think it was Fife Dog. Did she just show up with a tribute to Fife Dog? And she in the I'm talking about in the reviews now. The reviews, it was pretty much like Angela Winbush. Like that's how it was. And then it kept moving right along. As if no one wanted to really mention her name. And I noticed when you the name is brought up in reviews with these people who had clout, so to speak, her name was not propped up the way it should have been among these men. The bigger artists, if you will. Even though those bigger artists respected her work enough to, sample it or call her in to work with them, but it never held weight as far as the reviewers were concerned. And some of these people who sampled her work, I don't hear them talk about her in that way, as far as saying, yeah, I sampled it, why I sampled it, so on and so forth. I'm just saying. It's what it is. So I think what you have here is that you just basically have these two different career trajectories, is what we have here. And as I said, I really and truly do think I proved my point. I don't think that there's anything else left for me to say. But you know what, you guys, I appreciate you if you made it this far in my commentary. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me. I think it's only appropriate for me to say, hey, while you're at it, hit the like button, the subscribe button, the share button, and leave a comment. And also, my motto over here is simple: put your behind where your heart desires to be. And whenever I leave my mother's presence, she always says to me, baby, remember, I love you, but God loves you best. I look forward to seeing you guys next video. And until then, you should know what to do by now. Take care of you. All right. Talk to you later.